All right, I'll record this way. So official recording for whatever day it is. Monday, June the 19th. I was sharing with Tracy, so I'm in Panorama, which is in British Columbia, which is the province, get my directions straight, west of us in the mountain range. And it's about a 4.5 hour drive from Red Deer. And we knew we were taking the scenic route, so we knew it would be like 5.5 hours. But we weren't paying attention to, I was driving my vehicle. My friend Temple was with me, and then Sue, our friend, was in behind us. She was following us. And so we, rather than taking like a left turn, we took a right turn. So now we're finding ourselves driving through the mountains in the wrong way. And it's not like you can just turn around right in the mountains. And so we end up taking us 9.5 hours, 10 hours to get here. We end up stopping for supper. And we just laughed the whole way. Like, because we weren't in a rush to get here. We were so busy having this incredible conversation. And it was awesome for me to experience, just being in an energy of a lot of laughter. That to me, laughter really is the best medicine. But also just to let go of my agenda, right? And my need for making sure that things go right. And I'm not always, that doesn't always surface that part of myself. So we can even attach that to what the ego we've been talking about lately. So that part of myself is attached for my need for safety and security. And so what became apparent through a conversation that Temple and I were having is that, I share your love adventures like that. Yeah. I should spend more time with you. And, but through this knowing that I have this need for security. Now, on all of us do, right? And that's part of what we've been talking about, the ego and moving from ego into Christ consciousness, which is not perfection, but rather being a human and being aware of our divine connection to, whether we say Christ consciousness or divine or, whatever that looks like for you. So through conversation, we start talking about some of the challenges that I'm having in my life with my health, and some of the challenges I've been having with Rob over the last month or so. And the challenges with Rob, and it's my challenges with my health. Like, I've been experiencing that over the last year or so. But it's just gotten to the point about 4 months ago. It's like, okay, this isn't just going to go away on its own. There's work for me, right? There's an opportunity for me to dig in a little bit and find out what's going on. So through my conversation, this becomes very apparent that my challenges, both of them, are totally connected to my need for safety and security. And so because I love what I do, and there's no negative proving energy around what I do, if I have nothing to do, right? If I'm done, whatever, my go-to place is to study, which is part of my human design, right? And studying gives me a sense of safety and security, right? That I'm moving something towards my life purpose, which is not a bad thing. So here's where it becomes this difference between judging and discernment. So it's not a bad thing. I'm in awareness. I'm living my life purpose. And I'm in complete awareness that I'm living my life purpose now. And, but this thing keeps on coming up about safety and security with Temple and I. And so what unfolded in this magically long drive was that my need for safety and security is overrunning the opportunity I have to be more vulnerable in a relationship with Rob. My opportunity for the possibilities of a relationship. And then knowing that my conditioning and my programming from my parents, the only example I have of what a relationship could look like, I don't want. I don't want that kind of relationship. So then, in truth, then, whether that be in business or life or relationship or whatever, or health and wellness, if we are automatically following our conditioning because it's conditioning. So then we have it's like the duality of it, right? So let me change this from me to you. The duality of, you are also wired for safety and security. So what actions and behaviors, what thoughts, what beliefs, what values do you have around safety and security? What conditioning are you still participating in from parents who meant well, but you're keep on repeating those types of behavior, that action, the value? And how do you know? How do you know that you have an opportunity to step out of that? Well, the only way you have an opportunity to step out of that is to start, I guess, assessing and discerning. And part of that would be whether you're like a reflector, a projector, or there's a manifesting generator, like whatever human design type you are. There are different ways that you'll process. And all of you, whether you know what your human design is or not, whether you've done anything with human design or not, you will know how you best process. So I'm an outside voice processor. I need to hear my own voice. Right? So even if I'm journaling, I have to read it out loud so I can hear this. So through this conversation we're having, this strong need for safety and security is showing up. So if I don't feel safe and secure in my relationship, right, with people, but it usually happens with like more so with men than friends, then I'm not going to be moving into Christ consciousness. So I'll go back to what we've been reading, but I'm going to stay in the ego to protect myself, because at the other end of that possibility is unknown, and the ego doesn't like unknown. So your ego, your personality, your id, your I will actually choose to do the repeat of your Groundhog Day, because there's no unknown. It's known, even if you're not aware that it's known. So this is when we're in the illusion, when we're not connected to divine source energy. We're not connected to Christ consciousness. So as I'm seeing how this unfolds in my business, right, meaning although there's no proving energy to what I'm doing in my business, I feel really good when I'm doing what I do. I love what I do, right? So it's easy for me to go, oh, I'm not doing anything in this moment. Rob is gone, right? And so I might as well, and then insert, and it usually has something to do with studying or something completely mindless, like watching Netflix. Now, I could go into complete judgment over that and judge my need for safety and security, or I could go into what I would suggest we all do, which is go into awareness. What else is possible? And then reframe. So it's not like I don't have time for movement, right? So, but if I'm choosing one thing over the other, I won't necessarily choose movement. And so as Temple and I are talking about it, again, it's like, holy shit. For me, I have a disconnection between my health and wellness, or between movement and safety and security. So I haven't connected the two. But what else could be more safe or secure than actually having a physical body that can be here on the planet Earth to do what she's meant to do? But in my mind, so the ego, the id, the I, has separated the two. that you, and so the value system that my parents have, which is you exercise, you do the thing, you have pleasure, right? When you're done your work. Well, we're entrepreneurs. We're never done work. So for you and movement, health and wellness or whatever you want to say, are you focusing, is that part of like your daily practice? And we all know, and I'm not shoulding, but I'm going to use the word should. We all know we should take care of our bodies. And that will be something different for everybody. But how often do we postpone it because, and then insert the story, the illusion, the value system, the belief that's been passed on from our lineage, right? And it was true, right? When my grandparents or my great-grandparents, came here, my great-grandparents came to Canada, they didn't need to exercise because they farmed. Like, they woke up, right, at dawn and went out and did all the farming things. So, of course, exercise wasn't a thing. But as we become, more connected to technology, the less that we are moving. And again, whether it's exercise or not is irrelevant. But if we can look at and have a moment to observe, where is your ego keeping you attached to what could be deemed safety and security for you? What if, creating an epic life, which is, part of what I've shared with so many of you, is that I believe that our business is designed to be the vehicle to the life that we desire. And then what's the vehicle, right? So our business is to be the vehicle of the life that we desire. But the other thing is, it would be our body, our shell is also a vehicle, because we need to take inspired action. We need the physical body. We actually require the physical body to live on this plane, to have this human experience. And so if we detach, right, what's going on with the physicality of who we are from our purpose, which is so easy for us to do because of the ego, my belief, my point of view. It's not even a belief, it's a point of view. Then we remain where we're not living this full life. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to go run a marathon every day, but it's just a matter of checking in. Are you taking care of your physical self? And what would that look like for you? Because that will be different for everyone, right? We have been told by whoever the fuck they are, that, meditation is a great way for us to be present with our soul. And the more present we are with Christ consciousness, soul, divine, whatever that looks like, then the more that we're able to discern, are we in Christ conscious energy or are we in egoic energy? Not right or wrong, bad or good, but it's the discernment, which allows us then to let go of the judgment of this is the right way, or right, and this is the wrong way, or this is the good way and this is the bad way. Because there's no right or wrong, good or bad, right? It's like yesterday, we didn't take any wrong turns. We took turns that took us on a different route. And we had so much fun, right? So how can we take that slight example, that opportunity of this story of it was so much fun, and apply it to our life, our business, when things don't go, quote unquote, the way that we thought they would go, the way that we planned? Rather than looking at it the wrong way, can we look at it as a really fun detour? And the only reason we don't refer to it as a fun detour is because our ego is there, like chirping in the ear about what you should be doing or could have done, or this is the wrong way, or no one does it this way, or, whatever your words that you hear, your chirping that you hear. So the opportunity we have is to look at, to contemplate what unconscious parts of yourself, so at an unconscious level, are you allowing your safety and security, your need for safety and security to run the show without even knowing that. I mean, I've been in awareness of it, but for me it was like, oh, and especially to do with the moving part, so I use the word exercising for a lack of a better term, but seeing that I've left exercise out because I disconnected, right? The ego, the id, the I disconnected that to safety and security. And what's more safe and secure for me was to contemplate, to investigate, to study. And that's not it's not a wrong thing when we go in that direction, but it's the awareness of when does it become a block? When does your need for something, so whatever your need is, when does that become a rather than supportive for you, become a blockage for you? And how will you know? And I think the way that we would know is, are you experiencing the lighter side of the energy, the joy, the passion, the fun, the laughter, right? Or are you in the lower density energy of fear, frustration, anger, disappointment, bitterness? And what's the difference between those two is our attitude, is our belief systems, it's our value, right? When Sue was behind us, right? So, we had made a stop. We all knew where we were going. Temple and I were in the lead. We went the wrong way. Sue all of a sudden became aware that we were going the wrong way. She tried to call us but we were in the mountains, and tried to text us because of the mountains. Then there's this spot where we got service, and her text comes through. So I find a place to pull in, pull over, and then we turn around to go back towards where we think she is. And we're driving on this 4-lane highway, and all of a sudden we see her driving by us, because she's going the way that, so she turned around, so she was going the way that we were going, right? And we hear this beep, beep, and then we're driving 105 kilometers, and we hear this beep, beep, and then we look, and it's like, how the fuck do we turn around? And we can't get a hold of her. So it could have been a shit show for everybody, right? Sue could have been completely stressed out and angry because, right, she was behind and I was tracking her vehicle, and then all of a sudden she wasn't there, but I was like, oh, it's okay. We all know where we're going, right? And we did. We got here all at the same time. It just took us on a different track. But because of the different track, we ended up in Golden, BC, and we ended up at this tavern, and the front of the chalkboard was topless bartender, free beer, topless bartenders, tons of false advertising. So we went in, and we had the most fun with this waitress, and there's a crew of people that were at the bar, having beer, and we just spent an hour, right? And we're in we're in a tavern, so you're thinking you're going to have deep fried dill pickles and burgers and fries. And we had this amazing prosciutto and smoked ham pizza, this beautiful pizza in a place that if you would have looked at the outside of it, you would have not have thought that would have this amazing pizza. And we tried a new cider. So we had this incredible experience, which we would not have had we went the way that we had planned. How often is that going on for you, and you're unaware, and you're judging that it's not going the way that you planned, or it's harder than what you thought, or it's taking longer than what you thought? That's the ego. That's the ego. And for me, the sometimes dismissing the ego, I can do that. For the most part, I have to have a conversation with the ego and point to the ego but look at how much fun this was. You wouldn't have had that experience. You wouldn't have had, your tummy wouldn't be sore today, and your cheeks wouldn't be sore today from laughing and smiling, because we didn't have this experience. Life is like that, right? We can make a plan, but it doesn't always go to plan. And so really the message for you today is, what are you holding on to? right? And you could even ask, and you are all going to be shocked, you can even ask why. Why are you holding on to it? What is holding on to this, and I'll go specifically to safety and security. What is it? How is it benefiting you? Because there is a benefit. No, so important for you to be clear. There is absolutely 100% a benefit for you, although you may not know what it is, for you to hold on to that illusion, that ego, right? And because otherwise you wouldn't. So there's I guess a dual opportunity, purpose in looking at, what parts of your safety and security are driving and what's the false benefit that you're experiencing, right? What's the false benefit that you're experiencing? And then what is the next, what's the opportunity for you to let go of? What old paradigms will be required for you to let go of? And because we are all modeling a behavior, right? We're often modeling a behavior of either like mentors or people that raised us, or like teachers. We're following some sort of authority. And my question for you is, whose authority are you following? Right? And what if we had the opportunity to follow the authority of, so I'll go back, and I'm just going to use the verbiage to keep some consistency this week, of Christ consciousness, of divine. What if that was our authority versus our need for safety and security? So I'd love for you to explore that today, right? And the gold is in your Groundhog Days. Right? That's like your gold nuggets are there. You're experiencing that not because you can't figure shit out, right? Because you do. Every time you go and explore, if you're willing to explore and willing to be vulnerable and really have this opportunity to look. And when you tell yourself you don't know, I don't know, that's not you saying you don't know. That is your ego. Your ego doesn't know or doesn't want you to know. And there's no judgment in that, right? So your ego doesn't know, or your ego doesn't want you to know. Because what would happen, can you imagine or envision a life if you didn't have that pattern of behavior? What would change for you, right? And that can be really scary. Yeah, Sherry, what are you pretending not to know, right? Because it takes, I think it does. I think it takes a real vulnerability to take a look at. It's kind of like once you see something, the emperor has no clothes. So when you see the emperor has no clothes, you can't unsee that shit. I think that's part of the reason why our ego is so protective, because then we'll feel compelled to make a decision, but that is also your ego. Right? Your ego then tells you have to make a decision, and you don't. You can stay, right? You can stay in that. You don't have to make a new decision. Let me rephrase that. That your ego is going to tell you have to make a new decision, and you don't. You can be in awareness and not feel that you're compelled to make a new decision. You can sit. Allow yourself the opportunity to sit in the uncomfortableness of the unknown. Right? And what if we surrender? What would happen? What would your life look like if you surrendered into this divine source energy, into this Christ consciousness? Are you willing to follow the energy of divine, or are you trying to manage and manipulate the energy of divine? It became very apparent to me when I was with Temple that I'm trying to manage and manipulate my relationship, right? Because I'm not allowing divine to intercede. I'm so focused on, and not even knowing. I knew there was something going on. I knew there was a problem. I'll use that. There's no problems. I knew that there was something that wasn't a fit. And that's why Rob and I have been at odds. Because It's no longer aligning. It no longer aligns with who I am. And interestingly enough, 4 days ago, if you would have asked me what was going on, I would have said, I think I'm done, right? I think I'm done. And after yesterday's conversation, it's like, I know there needs to be a transformation, but that doesn't mean that I need to walk away. I still might be done. I still might end the relationship in the capacity that we have, right? And I might not, after this conversation and spending time, contemplating and going. If I decide here's my two conclusions, was that if I want to live a joy-filled life, that certainly, I feel that in my business and my friendships. I feel I have a joy-filled life there. And I don't feel that same way in the relationship with my body or my relationship with Rob. So what's the common denominator? Me. So what needs to shift within me, right? So that I can have that same relationship with these other two factions of my life. So in one, the desire and need for safety and security, which is very apparent now that I'm utilizing my business for that. What if I let that go? And what if I allowed myself just to experience joy, fun? What would shift? So now turning that back to you, what are you holding on to that you think is keeping you safe? Because I want to share something with you that just came through. Your ego doesn't know the difference between safe and stuck. Your ego doesn't know the difference between safe and stuck. Your divine self knows. Your divine self knows the difference between safe and stuck. No judgment in stuck. But your divine wants you to be unstuck. Your divine wants you to live your life, all of your life, every single faction of your life to its fullest capacity and capability, which requires transformation, which requires surrender, letting go, and following the path of the divine, not the path of your ego. And it's insidious as fuck because you're going to feel safe following your ego. And chances are, until you can learn to trust the path of the divine, you won't feel safe. Right? But there'll be enough experiences if you allow it, right? There's enough experiences, right? If you allow it for you to go, oh, this is just as safe. More safe. You're just as safe. The outcome is so much more. That's a better way of saying it. The outcome is so much grander than you can possibly imagine. But the human species is focused on safe. And that's part of our experience here on Earth. All right. Thank you so much for joining me. Have an incredible day. Hugs and kisses to all of you. Enjoy your day. Yesterday was new moon and summer solstice, and so we are moving into this next piece, right? So new moon was setting intention, and from the new moon to the full moon is knowing what the intention is and then taking inspired action, right? So having your goal or intention or the purpose, and then from now to the full moon, expanding on that. What would that look like for you? So surrender. Surrender into the process and have fun. Take a trip. Get lost. You never know what you're going to see. Mwah. Love you.